first of all, 3-1 win against St Mirren over the weekend. Just how do you reflect on that one?
Well, of course, we're delighted with the result. You know, it was the game was exactly what we expected from a difficult opponent in St Mirren. You know, we matched them up in the early part of the game. We went 3-5-2, and you know, I thought we competed really well. You know, against that type of team, you know that you're going to have to defend the box really well, and we did that. The guys showed great resilience on the day, and you know, St Mirren had, you know, plenty of shots from distance, but you know, very rarely troubled our goalkeeper, which was credit to the shape of the team and the defenders putting their bodies on the line. And going into the latter stages of the game, we had prepared for a change of system in the build up to the game. You know, we changed from the 3-5-2 then to a 4-3-3, brought on some more attacking players with the likes of Trapanovsky and Fatah, and that really made a difference going into the latter stages. And you know, we ran out comfortable winners in the end, which was really pleasing.
Craig Sybil's running a bit of a one-man goal of the season competition at the moment. He must be a joy to watch when he's in this kind of form.
Yeah, I mean, obviously his goals will grab the headlines, but you know, more importantly for me, it's his overall performance. You know, throughout the games, he's been a really influential player since I first came to the club. You know, he got Player of the Year for us a couple of seasons ago. You know, played a really important part last season in the success that we had. He's had to be a little bit patient this year to get his opportunity, but he's certainly grasped that with both hands. And you know, in the last couple of games, he scored a couple of really good quality individual goals.
Just on the subject of goals, Amar Fatah getting his first one for the club. How big of a boost is that for his confidence, especially early on his Dundee United career?
Yeah, certainly. You know, I should certainly kick Amar on. You know, albeit it's from the penalty spot, but it showed a lot of courage at a really important time in the game. You know, one each. Considering what happened in the Rapid Vienna game, you know, it would have been easy for him to tell me that he didn't want to take the penalty, but I was delighted that he grabbed the ball and showed real composure at the time to slot the ball into the bottom corner. And you know, hopefully now that will kick Amar on. He's had a really good start to his Dundee United career. We all know what he can do in an attacking sense. You know, he's very positive in his 1v1 duels, but he needs to add more goals and more assists to his game, because that's what the white players will be judged on. But you know, one pleasing thing for us this season is that we haven't relied on any one individual for the goals. You know, I think it's only Hearts, who are top of the table right now, that have scored more goals in the Premiership than ourselves, which is great. It shows that we have got that attacking threat within the team, but it also, you know, the goals are really spread out among the group, which is very pleasing.
And just what are your thoughts ahead of Motherwell tomorrow?
Well, it's a completely different challenge to the one that we faced at the weekend against St Mirren. You know, two real contrasting styles of play. You know, Saturday it was about the physicality. It was about you know, matching the effort and the athleticism of St Mirren and having to defend the box pretty much every moment St Mirren had the ball. You know, Motherwell completely different in their approach. You know, they tried to build from the back. Some very good technical players in the midfield area, real pace at the top end of the pitch as well. So the shape of the team is going to be important when we don't have possession of the ball, but also when we do get it, then we have to go and, you know, show what we're capable of doing as well. You know, I think it's two very good attacking teams, and hopefully that will make for a really entertaining game of football.
Does that maybe say something about the quality of the league at the moment, that, you know, teams across the league have got really distinct, you know, brands of football that provide, you know, yourselves at a challenge each week? Yeah,
but absolutely, and I mean, that's why when we, you know, the recruitment side of things is so important as well. You know, you can't be one-dimensional. You know, we're not afraid to change things up here, change systems, change formations, change personnel. You know, I think that's really important. You know, we showed a side to ourselves on Saturday that gave us all a lot of confidence that we can, you know, stand up to that physical approach. And you know, on Wednesday night against Motherwell, we're going to have to, you know, show a different side to our game in terms of the discipline and the structure of the team behind the ball. Something that we've done excellently all season. You know, against Hibs at Easter Road, in Europe against Vienna, really good opponent, and tomorrow night against Motherwell, it's going to be no different.
Obviously not a big break until this game, so just how's the team is looking for tomorrow's match?
Yeah, I mean, when the games come around as quick as this one has, you know, obviously there's a little bit of fatigue and there's a few bumps and bruises, but you know, I'm glad to say that the squad that was available to us at the weekend will be available to us again tomorrow night.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Jim, nothing really much more to add about the game. Just wonder if any comment from you on last night's sort of Celtic shenanigans with Brendan Rodgers' departure. Just what did you make of that?
No, I mean, I don't really, want to get involved in what's happening at other clubs. I've got nothing but respect for Brendan Rodgers as a manager, and obviously Celtic as a club. It was a loss to the league, I think, losing such an important manager, and the success that he brought to Celtic. But no, I wish Brendan nothing but well in the future, and he was always very good to me.
Would you like to reel yourself in or out of the job?
Oh, I'm really happy here at Dundee United. I'm loving life at Tannadice at the moment, and hoping for more success similar to what we had last season.
Do you think, I asked Craig this, if there's a bit more energy and excitement in the league with just taking aside Brendan Rodgers' departure, but just the way that the old firm haven't had it all their own way?
I think it certainly makes the league a lot more exciting. I think it's 40 years since anyone out with Celtic and Rangers have won the title. So certainly what Hearts are doing at the moment, they deserve a lot of credit. Derek McInnes is and has proven over numerous years that he's a top manager at this level, and things are looking rosy for Hearts at the moment. I would expect Celtic and Rangers to improve as the weeks and the months go on, and it would be certainly nice to have a three-way title challenge, shall we say, than opposed to the usual two-horse race that we're used to. So I think it's great for the game, I really do, and I think the league itself as a whole is improving year on year. I think the league is probably the most competitive that it's ever been. There's some really good investment from a number of the clubs, and you can see that with the results that are happening week after week. There's no easy games in this league anymore, and every team is capable of taking points off each other, and that can only be a good thing for the Scottish game.
I suppose it gives teams out with the old firm and maybe even out with the sort of regular top sixes maybe a window of opportunity. This could be the season, as you say. Take away that 40-year record, this could be the season.
Well, it could be. I mean, look, there's a long way to go in the campaign. You look back to last season, the incredible start that Aberdeen got off to, and then as the season went on, they capitulated, and so obviously Derek McInnes would be hoping that the same wouldn't happen at Tynecastle, but it's a really long season. It's a great start for Hearts. But as I said, I would expect the likes of Celtic and Rangers to improve. Obviously, changes in management teams at both clubs. I would like to think that clubs like ourselves and Hibs, and one or two others can get that little bit closer as well. We want to try and emulate the success that we had last season. We know a top four finish this year is going to be tough, but that's what we hope to achieve. And going a little bit farther in the Scottish Cup this season would also be a nice thing to do.